waffles are absolutely real. I know you love them. I know you do. I know you do. Okay, so what else we got? Okay, so we are going to the Carmelo Anthony effect. So Carmelo Anthony is a black dude. I believe he's 17. I don't remember. Anyway, he has been charged with allegedly stabbing a white kid, his same age-ish, in the chest with a knife that he had in his bag at a school track meet. The story goes that Carmelo Anthony was in a tent for people for the track meet for a certain school. He was not supposed to be in that tent. A kid approached him, another 17-year-old. I shouldn't say kid because they're really not. Another 17-year-old approached him saying, hey, you're in the wrong place. Some kind of altercation happened. I don't believe it was violent. I don't believe any of it was actually violent, but he ends up, Carmelo Anthony ends up stabbing the other guy in the chest with his knife and then runs away, which he had in his backpack, which he brought to school to the track meet. Okay. And so he's allegedly murdered this kid, and he's claiming self-defense. So that's the Carmelo Anthony situation in a nutshell. Haven't eaten a waffle in quite a while. Enjoy, my friend. And why is this called the Carmelo Anthony effect? Because right after he was accused of stabbing that white kid and claiming self-defense, a lot of people were raising money for him on one of the fucking websites, GoFundMe probably, for his defense. Like, they raised a lot of money for him, even though it looks really bad for him. Like, basically, he's got a long history of being violent. Like, the system failed Carmelo Anthony. In my opinion, Carmelo Anthony should have had intervention when he was like 10 years old. He should have been, like, he really needs to have some type of like therapy or something like that, because this could have been prevented. Like, all the people in Carmelo Anthony's life who worked for him in the government, in schools, and all of these programs, they failed this boy. And now they've ruined his life. And they have caused, or through lack of action have caused, the death of another child, 17-year-old at least, right? Because the system failed, because they kept giving him chances. They kept being like, oh, he's a good kid. It doesn't matter that he beat the fuck out of this guy, or that he gets into fights, or that he does fucking criminal shit. None of that. No, he's a sweet baby angel. When it's like, this kid is got violent tendencies and he needs to be taken care of, right? This is not something this is not something against Carmelo Anthony. Like, if they had taken him out of his normal schooling and put him in a special program where they could help him deal with his issues and his anger issues, and potentially his any educational issues that he had, both of these 17-year-olds might fucking be fine. The other dude being alive, and this guy, at least trying to lead a good life rather than this shit. But because they just can't. It's this really weird thing, and I'm gonna bring just straight politics into this between red team and blue team. But blue team has the hardest fucking time criticizing people with brown skin. They cannot do it. They literally cannot bring themselves to do it. They have so self-flagellated themselves into bending over backwards for people who are not white that they have constructed this paradigm in their head where any person who is not white is an oppressed individual, and all of the things that they are doing are simply lashing out against that oppression, and therefore they should not be punished because it's not their fault. It's like someone who is criminally insane, so they can't be held responsible because they don't understand right from wrong. So instead you put them in a mental institution that's like a prison or something like that, so that they can't hurt themselves or anybody else. That's what should have probably happened to this guy when he was a lot younger. Not a prison, of course, but an actual like place where he could be safe and be taken care of and be treated for the problems that he has. Because I do believe Carmelo Anthony is sick in some form or fashion. You don't pull a knife out at a track meet because some dude's fucking telling you to leave and then touches you on the shoulder. I think he touched him, and then you stab that guy. Like, that's not really something normal people do. Don't get me wrong. I would absolutely stab a motherfucker if my life did feel threatened. So I'm not going to say that he's crazy because he stabbed a dude. I'm saying that he's probably crazy because he stabbed a dude in the situation that he was in. But like, if you're attacking my children and all I got is a knife, you better goddamn believe I'm going to fucking use that knife. Like, there's no question. So like, I know a lot of people were saying he's crazy because he stabbed the dude in the heart. And it's like, no. Stabbing the dude in the heart is not the crazy part. It's the reason he stabbed him in the heart is the crazy part, right? Y'all need to get this straight. As somebody who advocates for 100% complete self-defense, I will stab you in the fucking heart. If you're attacking me or my family, it's gonna, and that's what I got. I usually got something a lot better I usually have something a lot better than a knife. So I'm just saying, this is all about self-defense. This is not about hurting people, but it's like stabbing somebody in the heart in self-defense. That's fine. That's fine. If it's actually self-defense, that's the crazy part. Okay, now that we've got all that rambly shit out of the way, what is this bullshit? A white woman in Minnesota said a child was stealing from her purse and harassing her young child. She allegedly said the N-word to the kid, and I'm pretty sure it's on video. And then when confronted by a known sex offender who was in the park, yes, this happened, called him the N-word too while defending her actions. The sex offender part is just funny. Why is a known sex offender at a park with children? I have no idea. It is just a funny little, what is the word? Funny little serendipity that the person that filmed her was a fucking sex. It's just hilarious. But you gotta also remember that getting caught pissing in public could land you on the sex offender registry. Possible stealing from purse is new to me. Yes. She accused the child, who may be autistic. That's one of the reasons they're like, oh, they're defending the child. But they're 5 years old, dude. Like, do they really know right from wrong? No, right? It's at that point that, you know, the mother of the 5-year-old. Well, I mean, she shouldn't have called the little boy an N-word. But the point is that if that had happened to my kid, has done some similar things. Where she's tried to take other people's stuff, and not only is it a thing where it's like, you know, you apologize to the other parent, you make sure that the thing is returned, and then it's a great time to teach a lesson to your child. And if the other parent is a good parent, they will understand that this is an excellent time to teach your child about right from wrong, and so both children will be given a lesson on right from wrong. That's what good parents would do, is that they would come together and they would take the same side of a situation. Stealing is wrong, right? And so it'd be a good lesson for both children, right? If you have two children who, stealing shit. Sorry, I'm thinking of one child stealing from another. My apologies, but it is. But if you are a good parent, then that's essentially what you would do. This would be a good time to teach your kid and the other kid about stealing and why it's wrong, and the parent who's the parent of the victim would also do that if they were a good parent, right? Okay. So, she has now been fully doxxed as being harassed and hounded by them. People on Twitter have come out in large support for her and raised currently $158K for her and growing. Personally, I hope she gets a lot of money. She didn't kill anyone. She just said a word. And Asmongold said something perfect. Basically, we now have competing racism. Racism now has a leaderboard. Yep. And you know, the funny thing is that all the people, and I've been saying this too, that there are absolutely racists out there still. And there always have been, and there always will be. But for the vast majority of the last 20 years, they've basically been suppressed. Because especially when I was a kid, like, it was definitely gross to be racist. Like actually racist. Not just saying the N-word, because everybody said the N-word. But saying the N-word, like, to a black person to insult them would be like, no, that's not cool, dude. You can't do that. Or you shouldn't do that, more to the point. And the vast majority of people that I was around, hung out with, all this kind of stuff, this would be like no, it's not cool. Especially, with the military stuff and all that. But it is correct, she didn't kill anyone, right? And the people who are saying, and there are a lot of people who are trying to blow this up and make it worse than killing someone, which is just hilarious. But the problem is that when you it's a lot of the red team, blue team bullshit again. Blue team has, for the last, I want to say 15 years, basically been on a racist spree, doing nothing but talking shit about white people and how horrible they are. Using the term whiteness, and then signing a contract with whiteness, and it's literally a devil with horns and hooves and a devil tail. It's like, yeah, you're laying it on really thick there. And then you have stuff where, like, Carmelo Anthony gets his bail reduced so that he can get out when it's pretty obvious what happened based on all the evidence that we see. Like, it's entirely possible that he's innocent and it was self-defense. It is possible. But based on what we know about the incident, because it was so public and just so like out there instantly, he's probably going to be in jail for a very long time. Doesn't mean he doesn't deserve the right to a trial and a lawyer. So, you know, there is that. But this is what has emboldened these motherfuckers, is that you call people racist for long enough and they're just not going to give a fuck anymore, especially the racists. Because what'll happen is that you'll call people racists and the ignoramuses out there will just believe that you're hyperbolizing again. Hyperbolizing, is that even a word? Is that you're just using hyperbole again. And that they're not actually a racist. They're probably not, they're not actually a Nazi. You're just saying that because they're not seeing your opinion. And it's kind of fucking stupid. It's really fucking stupid. But this is what happens when you do these kinds of things. It's the same reason why like Black Power movements got so powerful, is because they were actively being like black men were actively being oppressed, suppressed, and harmed continuously all throughout this country for just being black and male, right? So you can understand why they would form an identity around that, because it's something that they have solidarity with. So you can see why they would do that. And what has been going on with mostly Blue Team is they've been shitting all over everyone, including the vast majority of people who are not on the who are on the right and not on the right, but are not exclusively on the left. That if you disagree with them, you're a racist, you're a Nazi, you're a bigot. And what this does is it slowly over time builds calluses, and it slowly over time builds indifference, because it's the same fucking playbook. You crowd wolf so many times that even when somebody who's really racist shows up, nobody's going to give a fuck, dude. Nobody's going to give a fuck. Because all you motherfuckers are saying that Carmelo Anthony is a hero and they should be free and that they're glad he killed that little white bitch, right? Yeah, I've seen shit like that. So when stuff like that happens, you could listen to Hitler speeches every day for a year. You could listen to Mussolini and you could freaking read Mein Kampf and all this shit. But nothing will radicalize someone faster than this shit. Than watching this dude who's obviously had a troubled past, who's obviously a fucking juvenile delinquent and potentially dangerous, who's been failed by the system, mind you. Absolutely 100%. This should have been caught years ago. Does this horrible thing, and you come out and defend him. Not defend the fact that he deserves a trial and all that other stuff. That's fine. Like, everybody understands that. But that he's a fucking hero. You're selling shirts saying that he's a goddamn hero. After the Black Lives Matter riots burning down cities, after all of that bullshit with George Floyd, this is what will radicalize people. Shit like this. And that's why you have shit like this. It's because people just don't give a fuck. And I guarantee you there are people who are probably not racist giving money to this woman simply to give a middle finger to every motherfucker that supports this asshole. Or more specifically, all the like anti-white shit that's been going on for the past like 15 to 20 years from Blue Team. It's crazy. And yeah, like look at this. My name is Shiloh, and I've been put in a very dire situation. I recently had a kid steal from my 18-month-old son's diaper bag at a park, and I called out the kid for what he was. Like, regardless of whether the 5-year-old's autistic or not, it's literally a 5-year-old. So, And you have people giving like $1,000, $2,000, and some of them are like memeing. Some of them are like their names contain things like 1488 or stuff like that. By the way, if you don't know what that is, 1488 is the 14 is the most important words, where it's like, we will secure the future for white children or something like that. And then 88 is the 8 is for the 8th letter of the alphabet, which is H. So 88 is HH, which is basically Heil Hitler. So 1488 is literally a racist dog whistle. It's exactly what it is. And I've seen a few that were like that. I browsing through them. I don't want to go through it now, but it's just, it is one of these things where the outrage over this fundraiser, I know, right? Great. What else? The white man has gotten angry. Usually a good sign for us. Oh, man. Oh, dude. This is not good. Yeah, this is really not good. And you can't completely blame it on Blue Team. Even though especially like the Republican Party has absolutely tried its fucking damnedest to remove itself from any of the fucking neo-Nazi, racist shit from the past, where the Democrat Party basically has just dived headfirst in, just in the opposite way. It is super funny that the Democrats continue to be the party of racism, is it not? I do find that funny. Now, that's only if you look at it from a certain frame, but it really does feel that way. It really does feel that way. When I was a kid, though, it didn't feel that way. It really didn't. But, it is. It's just, it's very disappointing to see this, but it's the inevitable outcome of what happens when you're trying to have a race war. Woman who went viral for calling the kid an N-word has claimed he stole from her 18-month, has raised over $54K. There you go. Yeah, here's the video.
Did you call the child the nigger word? Did you call him a nigger, the child?
The fuck you talking
Did you
about?
call the child the nigger word?
None of your fucking business.
It is my own business. You call him a nigger? Okay, why don't you have the boss to say it right now again?
Fuck you, nigger.
Okay.
My God.
All right, that's what you say.
Ugh. I should not have watched this.
He took my
Okay, yeah, definitely. I know this person, not this person specifically, but the reason I say that is because this is what rice trash looks like, just in case you're wondering. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if she lived in a fucking trailer park. Not gonna lie. Oh, fuck, dude. That's not good. That's not good at all. If we raise enough, it's worth it. Oh, my. And here's the man recording, allegedly. Yeah. It's not good. What's a hard R? Oh, you sweet summer child. So, yeah. This is only going to get worse. It's not going to get better. And James Lizzie had a really good tweet about the MAGA and the right have a reckoning coming. They abso-fucking-lutely do. And what is about to happen over the next 2 or 3 years, as far as this goes, will define America for a long time. I guarantee you. We really need to stop with the racism. All of it. Period. Like, I know that big thing to say, right? Oh, I'm so brave. That's not what I mean. What I'm saying is that the people on blue team need to quit agitating it just as much as the people on red team need to quit agitating it. Because there are people on red team that do. They're a smaller minority than they are on the blue team. But they still need to. Because you got to remember that there are a lot of white people out there who are poor, who are working class. When they see you shit all over white people because of something some rich asshole did, when that's not who they are, they are going to assume you're a racist because you are. Right? When you blame all white people for slavery, you forget you're ignorant of the facts of what's going on. Less than 1% of people own slaves. Okay? That's number one. So it was essentially a rich people club, was what slavery was. Now, you could say that, oh, all the white people supported it. Yeah, but all the black people in Africa who were part of the slave trade also supported it, including the fucking kings who made all the money. You know, the rich motherfuckers. My point to you is that they didn't have a fucking choice in the matter. You understand that, right? That's the whole point. Is that the people who are at fault are the people who had the choice and made the wrong ones. And if you consistently and constantly blame an entire race for something that only a small minority of them did, you are being racist. And when the left has been doing this a lot. The blue team has for the past 15 or 20 years basically just felt like the anti-white party. Even though they keep fucking electing old white men, which is hilarious, they have been the anti-white party, it feels like. Now, most mainstream Democrats do not say this shit, and most of them will not support that kind of stuff. But rarely do I see them come out explicitly against it. Where you do see people on red team, especially in the Republican Party, have come out explicitly over and over again against racists and neo-Nazis and all this stuff. Like, one of the biggest hoaxes is that Trump praised neo-Nazis and called them fine people, when that's exactly the opposite of what happened. He explicitly called out the fact that he was not talking about them, and the news still ran with it, even though he explicitly did it. So when you see the president of the United States saying that there's a debate going on, and there are fine people on both sides of this debate, so we don't need to be shitting on each other, and that I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white supremacists that are here, they can fuck off. And then you see the news for years fucking push this bullshit. Joe Biden ran on the fine people hoax. That was his main point about why Trump was unfit for office, is because of the fine people hoax. St. John's, what's up, buddy? How you doing? And because of that, because of all of that, when people then turn around and see you not saying, oh yeah, the people screaming that all white people are evil, yeah, that's not something we agree on. That's definitely something that absolutely do not support that. When they don't do that, and then they turn around and they require red team to do it, and then lie about it even when they do, it makes you not want to care about it. It makes you not give a fuck. And especially to the people who are not as intelligent, who are maybe not as educated, right? It gives them an easy way to team play on race. Because race is the easiest team play of all, because it's literally just visual. And it sucks. It really sucks. And it's the same thing about, like, it's like fucking Hassan not being able to, like, criticize people. It's, let me rephrase. It's like when Hassan Piker fucking talks about, like, terrorist organizations and, like, glazes the fuck out of them and doesn't push back against them, and then will come back later and say, oh, I don't support them, all this other stuff. And it's, but it's like, he's like telling you not to believe your lying eyes. So when you see this, when you see people on blue team not push back against this racist rhetoric, not push back against the stupidity, and tangentially endorse it, right? With all, this is the reason why people were talking about, they linked Kamala with the woke shit, right? And that's one of the reasons that people voted against her, is because they linked her with that. You know, she's for they, them, not you. The reason that ad hit so prevalently is not because Kamala was running on it. It's because the entirety of the Democratic Party has been screaming about that bullshit for fucking years. For years. And it's always in the media. It's always in the news. And so it's just like, and yes, the Republicans absolutely used it as a bludgeon, and the blue team and the Democrats fucking deserved it. They absolutely deserved it. It was their own political mess, and they got exactly what they deserved. Just like fucking MAGA and Republicans are going to get exactly what they deserve if Trump keeps fucking up. it keeps being a little bitch, right? The Trump-philophicus is fucking, like we were about to go into a recession. Like it definitely looks like it. Yeah, like the definition of recession, 2 quarters in a row with negative growth. Looks like that's what's coming up. And especially with it, where it looks like the fucking shelves are going to be empty with all the fucking violations of the law when it concerns some of the shit with immigration. And the polls are not fucking looking in his favor. He's going to get exactly what he deserves. And so is the Republican Party. Maybe they can pull a fucking rabbit out of their hat. I have no idea. But when you don't push back against it, and when your party tangentially supports it, because all of these fucking racist people who are racist towards white people, they're all in blue team. All of them. Right? And they call themselves Democrats. They call themselves progressives. And that's what the Democrats align themselves to. And even though they may not agree with it, if you don't come out and tell people that, I don't agree with these crazy motherfuckers, they do not represent me or my party, that's what you got to do. That's exactly what you got to do. 100%. The Republicans got to do it every time fucking some neo-Nazi fucking with a Confederate flag comes out of fucking nowhere, right? So when there's a bunch of freaking Palestine protesters screaming, gas the Jews, and it's just fucking crickets, what does that tell people? That you do not actually have a principle of being not racist. You only have a principle of I'm going to use racism as a bludgeon and as a political tool to beat you with. But I'm not going to hold myself to the same standard. Well, then you're going to get this. You're going to get this. And you're going to get more of it. Way more of it. Yeah. It's probably going to get bad. It's probably going to get real bad. And I don't want it to, but